The search for Tu Na and her child has taken a new turn. After days of tireless effort, CEO Alex, a man once known for his cold logic and distant demeanor, is now braving great distances and hardships for the sake of a woman. And finally, he has found his first clue. In a quiet town on the outskirts, Alex carefully asked around from street vendors to roadside tea stalls, from elderly locals to motorbike taxi drivers. Amid countless replies, one elderly woman recalled seeing a young woman carrying a small child only a few months old, matching Alex's description perfectly. Without needing any further proof, Alex's heart whispered to him, that woman must be Tu Na. But is she really? Could this be the real lead he's been searching for, or just another fragile glimmer of hope in the vast sea of people? Alex didn't hesitate. He set off immediately for the location he'd been given. The narrow, muddy road didn't slow him down. Each step was filled with anticipation, with hope, and with fear. He longed to see the woman who had once made his stone-cold heart tremble. But how will Alex face it if she's not the one? And if it is truly Tu Na, will she forgive him for everything that happened in the past? The story is far from over, and the next chapters promise to be filled with heart-stopping twists and powerful emotions. Don't forget to hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss a single moment of this emotional, suspenseful, and deeply touching journey of CEO Alex and the single mother Tu Na. The wind howled through every alley in the outskirts of the city. Each of his footsteps pressed deeply into the dusty roads, into corners, far removed from the glamorous, fast-paced world he once belonged to. But now, there were no million-dollar meetings, no cold-blooded business decisions. Alex, once hailed as the steel-hearted CEO, was now just a man searching for his family, trying to reclaim a piece of his heart that had been lost. He had turned over every stone, walked into every alley, spoken to every stranger. He examined face after unfamiliar face, clinging to the faintest hope that anyone might recognize the woman he was searching for, Tu Na, and the child who might very well be his own. But all he found was silence. Nothing. Each time a glimmer of hope appeared, it was quickly snuffed out. A door would creak open, only to slam shut just as fast, leaving a heavy, growing emptiness in his chest. More than 2 weeks had passed, and he still hadn't found a single concrete lead. That afternoon, as the sun dipped low in the sky and its golden light faded, Alex found himself at the old riverside, a place where countless memories with Tu Na still lingered. It was there that they used to sit for hours under the shade of a tree, where she'd lean on his shoulder and talk about her simple dreams of a peaceful home, of their first child. Now only Alex stood there alone. The wind blew gently. The river rippled beneath the last rays of sunlight. He closed his eyes, and the memories came flooding back like a slow-motion reel. Her laughter, her gentle eyes, her soft voice calling him silly Alex. And then the moment she walked away in silence, carrying their child, leaving behind the words he never got to say, the dreams they never got to build. The pain surged. He couldn't hold it in any longer. He cried. The tears of a man once seen as invulnerable now streamed down his face, falling into the river, bitter and silent. He looked up to the sky and whispered, Tu Na, where are you? There was no answer. Only the birds chirping in the distance, the soft murmur of the flowing water, and the whisper of the wind brushing past him like an unseen comfort. Then he shouted, Tu Na, I'm sorry, can you hear me? But silence was all that answered back. The loneliness wrapped around him like a heavy fog. Alex sat down by the riverside, not caring that his expensive suit was now stained with dirt. He sat there for a long time, letting the tears cleanse his heart, letting the sorrow soften into memories. But Alex wasn't a man who gave up easily. He knew he couldn't fall here. He couldn't stop until he found Tu Na and their child. He couldn't let their story fade into silence. He stood up, wiped his tears. Determination returned to his eyes. Alex, the steel-hearted man, had come back with a single mission to find the woman he loved and the child who shared his blood. And then, like a miracle, a glimmer of hope appeared. The next morning, he returned to the small marketplace nearby to continue asking around. But this time, he came prepared with a hand-drawn portrait of Tu Na holding their baby sketched from his memory by a street artist. He held the picture up and repeated over and over, "Has anyone seen her? This woman carrying a baby. Has anyone seen her?" People passed by in a hurry. Many shook their heads. Then suddenly, a middle-aged woman stopped in her tracks. She stared intently at the drawing, furrowing her brows before her eyes widened. That girl. She walked by here just yesterday, holding a baby. She looked like she was in a hurry. I remember, because she stopped to buy a loaf of bread. Alex's heart almost leapt out of his chest. Are you sure yesterday? The woman nodded firmly. Another vendor nearby chimed in. Yeah, I saw her too. She went toward the boarding houses down the alley. Looked tired, kinda pale. But yes, definitely like the girl in your picture. This time, Alex couldn't contain himself. He bowed repeatedly in gratitude, eyes shining with a joy and hope he hadn't felt in weeks. It might have only been a small lead, but to Alex, it was light in the darkest of nights. He rushed toward the direction the woman had pointed. He didn't care about his expensive shoes getting soaked in mud or the stares of strangers along the way. In his heart, only one voice echoed, Tu Na. Are you really here? So much was still uncertain. He didn't know what he'd find at the end of that alley, but deep down he felt it. He was close, so close, to Tu Na and their child. As soon as he received the news from the woman at the market CEO, Alex felt as if he had awakened from a long, hopeless haze. His heart stirred with anticipation, and a spark lit up in his eyes brighter than anything seen since he first began his relentless search for Tu Na and their child. Without a second's hesitation, he pulled his phone from his coat pocket. His hand trembled slightly from the rush of emotion, but his gaze remained firm. He dialed the number, and his voice, hoarse with intensity, rang out. Johoni, I have news. Someone saw a woman carrying a baby. She looks just like Tu Na. It was just yesterday. Less than half an hour later, Johoni arrived at Alex's side. The trusted right hand, the loyal friend who had stood by him through this entire journey. Johoni didn't say much. He simply looked at Alex, nodded firmly, and joined the search as if he were looking for his own family. This time, it was no longer a one-man mission. The search officially entered a whole new phase. Johoni immediately contacted local authorities. Thanks to Alex's influence and the goodwill of the community, within just a few hours, local police officially joined the search. A task force was formed. Officers, neighborhood volunteers, and townsfolk all banded together to help track down the mysterious woman and child. Search teams were split into different directions. One went to inspect temporary lodgings and riverside inns. Another reviewed security camera footage from nearby streets. Others spread out along bus stops and ferry terminals, places Tu Na might have passed through. And Alex. He didn't rest for even a moment. He moved between teams, personally checking each location, every corner that might hold a clue. The entire town seemed to come alive with urgency. Attention spread through every alley and marketplace, something rare, almost sacred, the shared purpose of finding someone who mattered. Every rumble of a motorbike, every hasty footstep, every time someone pointed toward a direction, Alex's heart pounded wildly in his chest. He asked the same questions over and over. The woman from yesterday, was she holding a baby? Did she say where she was going? What was she wearing? Did she mention the name Tu Na? Each answer carried the weight of either hope or heartbreak. Some led him forward, some left him reeling. But this time, Alex wasn't alone. By his side was Johoni, the friend who had witnessed the transformation of a once cold CEO into a man filled with yearning and fragile hope. And now he was joined by countless strangers. Strangers who cared, who put aside their own errands, their meals, their jobs, to help search for a single mother and her innocent child. That evening, the sky turned a blazing red, as if it too shared in the pain and longing of Alex's journey. The entire town had become a living, breathing story, tense and vibrant, unfolding in real time. At its heart was a woman carrying pain and secrets, and a baby who had done nothing wrong but be born into uncertainty. Would this search finally bring a long-awaited reunion? Or would Alex once again grasp at something only to watch it slip through his fingers? Was the woman carrying a baby yesterday truly Tu Na? All of it. Every clue, every whispered lead remained a giant question mark suspended in the air, heavy with emotion and tension. And you, the audience following this story, don't look away. Because what comes next will stir your heart, move your soul, and leave you breathless. Hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell to follow the next gripping, emotional, and unforgettable chapter in the journey of CEO Alex and the single mother, Tu Na.
Ngay sau khi nhận được tin tức người phụ nữ trong chợ kéo hết như bừng tỉnh sau những chuỗi ngày vì bị ngộ độc. Lòng anh dạo rực, đôi mắt anh ánh lên một tia sáng chưa từng có kể từ khi bắt đầu hành trình tìm kiếm mẹ con trời nơi. Không chần chừ dù chỉ một giây, nhanh chóng đưa điện thoại từ trong túi áo. Bàn tay run nhẹ vào nhưng ánh mắt thì vẫn linh anh nhìn xuống và giọng anh khàn hơn. Hôm nay thì cô là vì con rất giống từ em. Ngày này hôm qua, sự lạnh đã kéo sau, lại có mặt cách panic là cánh tay đang được người bạn xung quanh mình dõi theo hành trình này từ đầu đến cuối.